Hey there, my name is Bren Vanderswag. I'm the president of GutterExperts.com and the founder of Gutter-Con, held just a month ago in Denver, Colorado. I'd like to introduce my guest for today, Augustin Crookston, owner of Classic Gutter Systems in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Augustin's been in the gutter business since 1969 and has been producing gutter parts and accessories since 1989. Classic Gutter Systems specializes in half-round gutter and pipe. Augustin's been working hard the past 8 to 10 years perfecting his radius gutters. How are you doing today, Augustin?
Good. How are you, Brent?
Hey, good. And what's the weather like there in Michigan today?
Perfect. It's 53 at night and 72 in the day. It's
perfect. Perfect. Summer's coming though, right?
Well, I love it.
Yeah. So we always kind of start out by talking a little bit about, how you get started, I guess, kind of after school. So 1969, I had an interview a couple weeks ago, or probably about a month ago, a fellow that's been in the business just probably 40 years. So you've got him beat by a little bit by the sounds of it.
Well, I mean, I come from a large family of 14, and my dad was in World War II. He got shot up in the knees in the Battle of the Ball Jacks, and he roofed all his life.
Oh, yeah.
And my older brothers, I'm 10 of 14, and they were all roofers, and he needed something that wasn't so heavy, and he started doing gutters, and I was the oldest of at that time, the children left, so started at like 8, 9 years old, working my dad putting up gutters, and that's all I've done ever since.
Wow. And that was started, and he started that business in 1969?
He started actually a little earlier, like 68 or whatnot, but
Yeah.
pretty much started working with me consistently. I mean, a lot. After school, it was all summers. In fact, I never got to go off for high school sports because I had to work with my father, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So gutters. But
so did you say you were the oldest of 14?
I'm number 10. The oldest ones that were the roofers. And when my dad switched with gutters because the roofing was too hard on his knees because he got shot up in the Battle of Balls, both of them cut him down. But so that's why if my dad wouldn't have went to World War II and got shot in the Battle of Balls, I wouldn't be putting up gutters.
Who knows what you'd be doing? Vacuum cleaner salesman or something, maybe. You'd probably be roofing, I guess, right?
No, hate roofing.
Yeah. Did you ever do roofing, or did you just go straight to the gutters?
Yeah, it's just I did K-style gutters a long time, obviously with my father, and then me and my brother started a company in 1979 when I retired, and I just could not keep doing K-style gutters. That were driving me nuts. You know what I mean? It was just for me, it was just the same stuff every day. I had to be creative. But we did that for probably 7, 8 years. And right around I'd say 86, 87, I started doing commercial gutters. I got a big box machine and I was doing commercial gutters. And then in 1989, I had a guy call me, wanted half-round gutters, and I had actually bought some gutters from Berger Brothers. And gutters, and I never did half-round gutters before, and I couldn't believe that the lip was the European lip that turned outside. I thought, who is that? You know what I mean? You can't hook a bracket in it.
Why do they do it like that?
Well, in the olden days, if you think about how the machinery was, they would grasp it, turn it on a for lack of a better, would lip the front, and then they could roll the
spiral thing or something.
They'd fold it, turn it right over, but they didn't have roll form machines then. So anyway, I put the job up, and it was a hanger job, and I had to make a bracket on the outside. And I was thinking, man, if you're doing aluminum, you'd have to have double side painted metal because the inside becomes the outside.
Right.
There's no strength to that European lip if you really think about it. A lot of times they'll put a rod down it to add mass. There's not much strength to a rod sideways, it just adds mass.
Okay.
And then double-sided metal, I just thought, well, they just want to turn the lip the other way. So at that point, I had a machine made, the reverse bead, which should have been called the Crookston half round, because I was whatever I was, 29 years old or 30 years old or whatever.
Didn't realize what you were losing. And
so I put it out there. And once that was out there for a year, I couldn't patent it, my reverse, but that's okay. So I just started, and I started making all the accessories because there was no accessories that were really any good. And I went from hanger systems to outlets was a big issue because I couldn't stand the fact that you look at all the outlets that are out there and they got tiny little flange at the edge. Most half round with copper, or it was galvanized and they could solder. Okay?
Right.
Well, aluminum, there wasn't enough mechanical edge to fasten the outlet. And so you really couldn't caulk it in there. So I had background and I did a lot of woodworking in school. I was a pretty good mechanic, although I didn't go to school for it. So I made dies for that, and I've got better and better at dies, and I've got 30 dies now, from end caps to miters to outlets, 3, 4, and 5 inch. To the clips, I started I was doing that, and I saw a guy named Don Miller. He had castings, and he was a really nice guy. I met him. He was from California. And I thought, man, I had made some patterns for castings, and I had a foundry making the castings, and that was very difficult because you have people do stuff for you, and you need aluminum or you need brass. You need it in 3 different sizes, and God knows how many different styles, and couldn't get them, so I had to start my own foundry, and that was a challenge. So we do a ton of castings on the website. You saw them before.
Yeah.
A lot of high candy, a lot of crazy stuff, but the popular ones are the fairly simple ones. We got one, it's called an open curl. It's classy but not gaudy, and it's really nice, and people do like putting Christmas tree lights or planters in them and stuff, you know what I mean? It's from stamp fascia brackets to cast fascia brackets to hanging systems, to suspended stuff, to bar brackets, that European look.
Yeah, and of course, I might as well mention this here while I'm talking to you. Your website is classicgutters.com, right?
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, I spoke to some of your people a couple years ago. I think you did a revamp on your website, and it's very good. Like the way you can, navigate around it really, really is good.
It's funny. I hope so, because I'm not on it that much. I don't like them.
Yeah, no, it's very good. Very good.
I'm always fixing, you know what I mean? Always.
Yeah, well, you have to be. You have to, otherwise someone else is gonna do it. So, so you started doing that, and it's just kind of been growing since then. When did you get out of actually installing gutters?
That was a great day for me because, as I hated working in weather and always trying to schedule my day around weather. I tell you, I never looked back when I started saying, I can sell these gutters. At that point, there was no other half-round reverse bead machines out there. And I invented that reverse bead gutter, and I made the first machine. And then, other people since have made, the KWM makes one, and that hurt me a little bit. But I hated shipping gutters anyway because it's difficult. So I'm actually making my own machine now. But I got out of installing when it just got probably about a year and a half after I started. I half round. I just started doing solely half round gutters, and I know everybody thought I was out of my mind, but I just thought to myself, no one else does it. And I was so sick of K-style, like I told you before. And I was just looking at this house I was doing. It was a big house, and it was copper, and it was a K-style gutter though. And I thought, you know what? There's nothing different on this house, besides the gutter being copper, than on these modular homes. And I said, you look at cabinets or flooring or all the other things, these houses got high-end stuff on them, and they got the same style gutter as a mod. And I thought, that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. There was no regular choices for gutter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It particularly seamless. And so, and then I always make this comment. I've done a lot of this with houses, like, and I always say, if God made a gutter, it'd be half round because it's got a natural bottom.
Exactly.
Point, and it pushes stuff out.
Yeah.
And the other statement I use on this old house is, and Tommy Silva cracks up here, I said, would you plumb your house with rectangular PVC, Tom? And he started laughing his ass off because it wouldn't work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And square downspouts or rectangular downspouts, I cannot stand them. It is just, to me, fully absurd.
Well, I have to disagree with you a little bit. I understand your concept, but they really look nice.
Well, I know it's, if you're doing that, like for the plain square, I like those better than the
Yeah,
2x ones, but you know, from a functionality perspective, I'm trying to
yeah, I
balance
get it.
it. So I am a function freak, and then I added, you know, class and elegance to, because you can have over the top cast fascia brackets, you can have a simple one, you can have a bar bracket, stamp bracket, whatever.
Mhm.
And so I just think that I love the functionality. I love that it funnels all the water to one point.
Mhm.
When I about that outlet, I actually made an outlet with a 5/8 flange in it for aluminum, because there was really no way to do an aluminum outlet with half round gutter without mechanically trying to fasten that outlet. So my outlets actually are designed to go on the outside,
Mhm.
and because when you put a half round gutter up, if the fascia is out of kilter a little bit and you're using like a cast bracket, and let's say it was just tilted in a little bit, you put the end cap on, it looks like it's leaning forward. So if your outlet was on the bottom, it's not a
Yeah.
flat. So it could, the outlet could be coming kind of out of plumb when it's coming off
Right.
the. And so it's nice to put the outlet on after the fact, after the gutter's on, and that's just put on there. What goes up on the inside and the folded tabs in, so it's all mechanically correct. Again,
Yeah.
the mechanics is important to me. I don't understand why people run stuff bass backwards. As far as I'm concerned, they're running water against the seam. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
So
I guess that does kind of make sense. So are you even suggesting that for K-style gutters? Putting the outlet on the bottom?
well, I mean, no, I mean, I can't stand K-style gutters. I don't care what they do. You know what I
You
mean?
don't
The only thing,
care.
here's what I do with K-style gutters. You told me to get a sample. This is a real tight radius. I make radius gutter,
Yeah.
and I jumping around, but I make radius gutter in half round K-style box,
Yeah.
brown stone in the Boston and the northeast stuff. It's like a K-style without that bottom edge, and they have a lot of that up there. So I will break that and I will radius that. But here's the piece of, I don't know if you can see it. This
Yeah,
is
maybe stand up and just go back a little bit so that we can see how big it is. Oh yeah, wow, that's pretty tight. How
very
long
tight.
is that? 7, 8 feet?
I couldn't do that tight of a radius in a half round,
No.
and that's aluminum, and it's a 5-inch K.
What's the thickness of the material?
40 or 50 thousandths.
Okay.
I'm working on right now. I haven't got it perfected to be able to offer this in a painted white, dark brown, as opposed to mill finish.
Okay.
Tear up the paint, and it's difficult, but I'm getting better. You know, we spoke about make machines, and I now make a half round gutter machine, which I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but it's awesome. Okay.
So what makes it better than others from your perspective?
Well, a couple things. First of all, the profile, and I'm not trying to blast anybody about anything. Okay, I'm just saying I am, like I spoke earlier, I'm all about functionality,
Yeah.
properly. This has got an Alcoa hook in the back, so you can hook brackets into it. The front hem turns, and it's hooking it, so you can actually hook stuff to it.
Mhm.
So it's that front hem and the reverse bead. Let me see if I got a piece of I'm gonna. You mind if I call him, get a piece of radius half round gutter up here?
No, I don't mind.
Sorry about that. So you can
No
see the
problem.
profile of the gutter. I should have had one up here.
I thought you had a direct line to Trump there.
Oh yeah, he's my man. What's up with? Couldn't imagine it. I'll have to get him back.
problem.
But the reverse bead comes around. You can really hook brackets into it. If you look at the other gutter machines, they kind of on a stop. They don't have another lip or whatever you want to call it going back, so you can positively lock your bracket in. Okay.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So a half round is with the radius gutter and the half round machines were the two hardest, and the outlets were very difficult to make. But you're talking about, when you're making a half round machine, you're talking about making a gutter with no bends in it, and you're trying to hold this profile. So it's got to be overbent, obviously, and come out and keep it straight. Not difficult. And the other problem is there's nothing that stops the in a case style or a box cutter, you've got a corner at each station, so you're tracking the material at that point, that half round. So there's a lot of challenges to it. You think the profile looks simple when it does, but it's very difficult to make a half round machine in there. And I'm actually right now making an 8-inch half round, something I'm not going to sell, just because you got to really know what you're doing to adjust them. The 6 inches are awesome, but the deeper a half round gets, the harder it is. And they are very, very difficult. The 8-inch half rounds, my friends, they're a pain in the ass, but I want to get machines out there so I can chop and drop, particularly down south, at 8-inch half round.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, like, so your machine, would it use, like, I know when I have a KWM half round, 6-inch half round machine, and whenever I call to order product from you guys, that's the first, I mean, right on my account, it says that I have a KWM machine. So you have to have different brackets for different machines. Is that right?
No, I mean, the only thing about the KWM, they bend their metal on the back, goes down and back up, and that's so they can track the gutter. And so they use more metal. You're talking about 11 3/4 inch stock. And so they use up some of that metal. And my castings, because the casting goes all the way around, hits the front nose, can be a little short. So I've made a little spacer that will go in there. So you can use castings with the KWM. Stamp brackets are no problem. The internal clips, but people are using more of a cheaper clip. I make stainless and real heavy ones. But my main forte, Brent, I think for the KWM machine and those other machines are that stamp fascia bracket. It's that cradle on the outside. Make those 63 thousandths and 13 colors, 50 thousandths in copper, and I do a lot of galvalume. So next time you run galvalume gutter, you'll want galvalume coil from me, because I get a special galvalume that's will run through and hold its profile. And I even recommending me for the galvalume coils.
Yeah.
Because galvalume in your machine.
Yeah, usually what I do, I was actually going to talk to you about this after we got off the call, because I need some galvalume. I hate it. So when jobs come up, they're becoming more popular. So I'm going to actually stock a little bit, I think is what I need to do. But usually what I do is I buy a roofing coil and I cut it down, and it's a pain in the butt, but that's what I do. I just don't have access to material around here. You would be my closest access to galvalume gutter coil.
Well, just a different, but it's not just galvalume, it's how this coil is made. So I'll probably, you remind me when we get off the call, I'll send you a 20, 30 feet of it so you can trust it in your machine. You'll like it.
Oh, I thought you were going to send me 20 or 30 coils.
Yeah, well, I could too. Just send me
send a truck.
Yes, I just, I love doing half round. I love being creative, making different products. Radius was a challenge, and I'm really getting that dialed in now. We just did a job with 1,200 feet of radius in Tennessee we're working on right now.
Wow.
And in that particular job, I fixtured up for 23 footers. I probably shouldn't even say that, but I wouldn't do it again, because, the radiuses are never consistent art. It's not like it was built on a computer and they're perfect. They got people framing that, and they always vary. So one of the things I learned right away and about doing radius gutter was that most people are really intimidated by them, and I'm trying to get followers to not be intimidated by them. But the main reason they won't be is it works. So I tell them, I'm going to send you out a template package. You make that template, you check it against the fascia, and you check it around the entire radius job. If it's not consistent, so I tell them, I'll take the time and fixture up for bastard radiuses where it might start up a 120-inch radius, and the last 20 inches, it folds in farther, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it don't fit perfect, it's good, you know what I mean? And I can't, so there's not a week goes by, or maybe 2 weeks go by, I get people radius, because we are radius, and they just love it because I make it simple. But some people try to fight me with a template, and I said, don't fight me with this. Trust me, it'll make life a lot easier. It'll fit perfect, because I tell them, you make me templates, I'm gonna make it to template, and if it fit, guess whose fault it is? Because I'm matching you.
Right.
Take their time And once I get one job with them and it makes them confident, you know what I mean? And then I can work my thing, it says later, whoever, ABC, whatever gutter company. Look at this, like my downspout, my round downspout. I expand all the ends so they're coupled, okay? More work. It slows my production down and outlet production big time. But it's so much nicer because when you're putting a double elbow together and you've got that stovepipe, you put them on, the elbow can get cocked on the end, they look crooked. With I didn't straighten themselves right out. And I tell people, don't even put a screw where it's in from one elbow to the other. Just screw it to the outlet, and where it comes to straight pipe down, there's just less in there. If you feel the seam in there, it's beautiful. And so it's the same thing. It's that functionality that I was talking about. It's like plumbing for your house, and it's on the outside, and I want it to work perfect. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you've worked with the crap product out there, which we have, and then you go to a nice product, like you said, that have the flanged ends. I mean, it just fits together like a glove. And the guys working with it every day, I mean, I don't really notice it because I'm not out in the truck every day, but I know when my guys use a product like yours, they they say, oh, wow, it was so nice to work with that product because it just everything fit together so nicely.
Yeah, in snow climates, I sell more of the casting. The castings have 2 slots. I have one here somewhere. I'm going to try to call Sue again and get a piece of gutter and a casting. Okay, up here, is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that. I should have that for. But made so all stuff can be done. All the work can be done on the ground. So they'll put the brackets on the ground. They'll fasten the front of the gut bracket to the gutter. The spots remain exposed above the top of the gutter, and so it up and assemble it as one unit. And I have no idea why no one's answering the phone. 2 of them.
Well, hopefully they're talking to customers.
No, they probably are, but
they're ignoring you.
Jess, can you bring up some cast 6-inch brackets and a piece of gutter, a 6-inch half, please?
Yes, of course.
Sorry about that. But I designed it so when I first did it, my castings, the fasteners end up being below the gutter. And the problem there was you had to go up, screw them to the fascia, and invariably you're striking fascia, and you might hit a knot in the wood and it might screw down. So that bracket might be drove down a little bit. The next one could be up, and it doesn't take that long to get off. And I quickly found out that, through the time of actually installing the half round, that's what really helped me, Bren, because I was able to, that's no good, this is better, whatever. And so clipping the brackets on the ground, on the gutter, and picking it up and then screwing them in is freaking awesome, okay? And it looks beautiful. I've made a wedge system built right in, so if they had anything from a 7.5 up to a 50-degree wedge, can be affected right to the screwed right onto the back of the cast bracket or the stamp bracket. Yeah, here. Let me get throw, yeah.
Yep.
And I don't want that hole in it.
Okay.
I should have had this stuff up there, but like she just brought me this. There was another thing I forgot. We make spherical end caps.
Oh,
So
I love those.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was not an easy product to make. Okay. And that was really, but I make those now, but it's a reverse bead spherical end cap. And it's a great way to terminate the gutter, not a gable end or a wall, but when it's out there by itself, it looks freaking awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Installers, and they get used to them. They say, they take a work, and I really don't make a ton of money, and I'm okay. But I said, you're nuts if you don't just show them a spherical end cap. And I said, well, they're whatever, $8-9 a piece. I said, how many end caps you got in the job? Just show the customer, let him decide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But those spherical end caps are just all those little details make a big difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I'm pricing up. I did a couple jobs over the years, but I just got the call today on one. Lead coated copper. Do you deal with lead coated copper at all?
Yeah, we get the lead coated from Lamb and Ritchie.
Yeah.
Ritchie's, right?
No, I don't.
Boston area. And
You cut out there for a sec. What was the name of the company again?
Lamb and Ritchie, Lamb and Ritchie, Richie or something.
Okay.
But they lead coated. But you know, that's funny with lead coated. I'm always amazed at that because they have all the stuff with lead in the paint and you know, this hazmat and all this stuff. And I have them sign people a disclaimer. I'm not making lead coated. I'm taking coil that I get and I'm forming it into a half round gutter and round pipe. And that's your baby. You know what I mean? Because I don't want anything to do with the liability.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that, you know, this taboo about lead and all of a sudden, here's lead coated gutters.
Well,
Not
but
the-
why? What's the special thing about it? Is it just the look of it, or like what's so good about it?
I have no idea why people do lead coated gutters and they're expensive. You know what I mean?
Oh, I know they are.
It's just like when we do radius gutters, people want it tin. That's pretty much like soldering it. It's a lead coated job. And I said, I can make it in copper and you'll have to tin it. It's pretty much soldering all around the outside. It makes it look like it's lead coated pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Solder is mostly lead, right? And tin and ink or whatever. So it's weird to me. I really don't understand why. I can understand zinc, copper and aluminum and galvalume, but lead coated and I'm getting more and more calls for it. But you know, it's all because we have to order this stuff, get it in, shipping on top of everything, and we get it packaged and we ship it out and just praying to God it don't get damaged. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I hate to go through the whole process and then trying to deal with that's one of these machines, Brandon's like I'd ship gutters out when I first started. I shipped at 26 footers and I got really nice boxing. And I know you're going to visit one day, but there was a customer in St. Louis, Scott Lee Guttering, and they're really good. They do really high end stuff. And John over there, I said, why don't you get a machine, John? He goes, why would you try to sell me on a machine when I'm buying your gutter? And I said, because shipping gutters and you have to get this in boxes. I had to pay for the boxes. You get these 20 footers, you got to go pick them up. You got to haul them out the job. You got to pick through them. If you had a machine there and you could make out whatever length you want and put it up, I could sell a lot more brackets and I wouldn't have to ship the gutters and you would get them for cheaper and it would ultimately be a way better job.
Yeah.
So he got a machine and he always talks to me, goes, man, were you right? You know what I mean? And now he puts up a lot of gutter and buys a lot of my brackets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't sell my machines to sell machines because my machines are 28 grand, pretty much. But I am not into high production like KWM or whomever, right? Where's the place out in Denver?
New Tech.
Nice guys.
Do they make? They don't even make a half round though, do they?
And I'm still not into production machines. My machines are really built heavy. They got a number 50 chain on them. They're nice, okay? And I am with machines. That was so difficult. But now I'm in that battle with the 8-inch. But I tell people don't want to sign a contract. And I get that they have to buy my parts. And I said, stop. I don't want to sign a contract. I don't care. I look on building relationships. So I said, I'm going to give you a gentleman's agreement. So something like, you know, I don't build gutter machines to make money because you don't make any money on them when you take all the effort and everything else. I build machines for the cause of you to be able to put up seamless gutter that I really like, that will match all my stuff perfectly. And then you'll be able to put a lot more gutter up. And normally the people that bought from me, I probably got 30 or 40 out there right now. You know what I mean? And of course, the first ones are not as good as the ones now, but these ones now are freaking awesome. You know what I mean? And I'm using technology to work toward my 8-inch. But I just make a gentleman's agreement, say, I want to build relationships. Quite frankly, it was great to get to meet you out in Denver. And when I come to Scotia, I'm staying at your house. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I know you are.
And you come house, I can't stand hotels and I can't stand, I just want to get to know people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll never not be busy. I got plenty of work to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Keep up with everything, but I'm just a stickler for my yes is yes and my no is no, and I'm on it. I don't play around. I make here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now I got to off the gutter subject. You've told the story, and I'm going to get you to tell tell it here. I hope you don't mind me bringing it up, but you were trying to do something nice down in Mexico and almost didn't make it back home. What happened?
Oh, the Mexico. My wife is Mexican, and my joke, I got back. So if everybody's got a problem with that, it's a joke, and I don't care because I'm a Polak and I love the Polish jokes. Okay, so trying to make an orphanage, and because I was just the gutter thing was running itself, and I was just getting itchy, getting a little bored. I was watching golf one Sunday on TV, and I thought, oh my God, I'm watching golf. I'm not gonna know who won this thing. Are you serious? Go do something. So I was down in Mexico with my wife and the kids. We were in Monterey at that point, just east from Puerto Vallarta. But these kids would come out and they would steal food off the tables at the restaurants. We had a restaurant, and they were hungry. You know what I mean? And these store owners would just go nuts. You know, and it's restaurant owners and get out of here. And I just thought to myself, I found out later the kids are product of the drug wars because so many people get killed down there, and they're just orphaned all over the place. And I told the guy, just let him have the extra food. I mean, good God, you know what I mean? And I thought to myself, why don't you do something? You know what I mean? So long story short, it's totally from the perspective of Jesus Christ. It's all my focus in my life. I know I'm a little coarse, but it's all that matters to me because nothing else matters. You can make a godzillion dollars doing whatever and don't make a hill of nothing, right? So I went to make an orphanage, right? And it was brutal. I was on a border town. It was called Sabinas Hidalgo, just south of Nuevo Laredo and north of Monterrey, Mexico. And we were there, and I did not heed enough to the dangers there. And my wife was pissed, okay, that we were there because it was nasty, okay? And I just remember packing, I got 5 kids, pack them up, go down there, having a clue, you know what I mean? And I had bought some land down there, and it was like bizarre. I planted like 600 pecan trees because I thought I could make money at pecans, and just trying to do stuff. But it was hot, I mean, and it was so hot. They make everything out of these blocks, these block houses, and they just absorb all the heat and then emit it at night. And I thought I got to make these panels. So I started making these insulated panels. I'd play around with that a little bit, but we were there and I had built the building and we were making copper sinks. I had some guys from the Michoacan, which is a state down there, that do a lot of copper stuff. And they actually helped me with the spherical end caps when I got doing that. But it was like 3 o'clock in the morning and all of a sudden there's beating on the door and I knew it was not good. And I said, no. And I got out of bed in my underwear and there was 2 guys with rifles in the front porch and 2 in the front. Get out of the house. Because I had built a couple of fairly big buildings because I was going to make, I was going to have a wood to make all the cabinets for the stuff, pretty good at woodworking and different stuff. And then teach the kids how to woodwork too, right? Yeah. And they thought it was a drug cartel. And if you ever know much about Mexico and the drug cartels, the Zetas, they're nasty. They kill kids, they don't care, okay? And I had 2 guys working from me from Michoacan, and they said, "Donde están los morenos?" We're the dark-skinned people. And I said, because it's funny because in Mexico, my Spanish sucks, but I get along, right? And it's like somebody from Georgia, "Hi, y'all," you know what I mean? Well, they got the same dialects there, and people can tell when you're a different place, obviously in any country. And so I said, "I don't know where they're at." And the guy puts a gun right to my temple and goes, "That's mintiendo, you're lying." And I said, and I thought I was dead right there. And my kids, and he goes, where they live? Because he asked me where they were. And I said, back in the apartments back there. And so he's left us there. They go in the back, and these buildings are called bodegas, like warehouses, bodegas, from the bodega. And all of a sudden there was 2 guys back there. I said, I heard boom, boom. And me and my wife were in bed praying to Jesus, trust me, because you'll pray to Jesus. We thought they just shot him. And we're laying in there with our 5 kids, and we thought we're dead. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning. About 6:30, dawn comes up, and we're just freaking out. You know what I mean? Because I think they're gonna come kill us. Go back there and find a bloody mess. Because we would drive back to get out of there for a little bit for a vacation to Laredo, and there was sometimes bodies hanging off of the Puente Dos, the bridge, the internet. These people are crazy, okay? the door shut and they got a steel frame and the door slammed. And that was what I thought was a gunshot. It sounded like a gunshot.
Mm.
God would do that to me. Like, what? So about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, they're beating on the door. And I go there and I go to the door and it was my 2 workers. One of them had a hole burnt in his chest. They took these batteries and props just trying to get information out. And you know what the guy said? He goes, "It's okay, senor. No va a molestarte. They're not going to bother you because they know you're doing an orphanage and you're a good guy." Well, that's comforting. Good God. It was brutal down there.
So you never got it finished?
Well, yeah, I got a land cleared, planted all trees, built the bodegas, but then the threats were of kidnapping my children. I couldn't live with that. You know what I mean? I could not, because a lot of these people don't realize, a lot of these drug cartel members or people, they go rogue. They go into town, they said, "We're part of the circus," and they'll kidnap people like it's a little private, separate thing. It's just brutal. So yeah, I had to get out of there. But what I do now is I try to take, like, happens to be that the land I bought with my wife was just on me about, "Why'd we come here? Why did I go?" "Yeah, baby, it's really nice. You could know everything before it started." That's easy. You know what I mean? But they built a big hospital right by there, right? And they built a water park, if you can believe that. When they said they were going to build a Parque de Acuático, and I said, "You might as well build that on Mars. What are you talking about?" Well, there's a lot of water in the place I bought. And so my land has went up. So we're trying to sell it right now, actually. And what I'm going to do is try to work with existing orphanages because I can't do that down there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the other is, if I hired a cook, and they said, if that cook, because I was going to have 100 children, right? And that's 3 meals a day. That's a lot of food that's got to be done every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Figure out all the logistics. But if somehow, let's just say somebody sexually gets the cook, you know who they hold accountable? Me. I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can build that, but I can't take the responsibility. I don't even, so that's what happened in Mexico. But I learned a lot of copper there. I went down to Michoacan. I never forget, I went down to Michoacan, this little town, and because I can speak okay Spanish, my wife's Mexican, I hang out there, used to it. And I get down there and I asked the guy, "Hey, where's the bus station?" He goes, "Hey, there's no buses here, senor." And I said, "Okay, there's one thing I know about Mexico. There's a bus." Where are the buses? So I'm walking out of the airport in Michoacan, and I find the bus station. I got my little bag, and the guy goes, "What are you doing here?" Because it was in the middle of nowhere, right? And I said, "I'm going someplace to check copper." Had a lot of fun doing that,
Yeah. Why is it such a big thing down there? Do they have copper mines?
Oh yeah, there are some artists with copper down there. I am telling. I mean, incredible. I walked into a place that you wouldn't have known if it was the 1700s. Everything was just old, right? Except the guys got their ear pods on, whatever, and they're working. And these kids, they train they make all kinds of silver stuff, just ornate stuff. Fascinating, crude actually compared to what we do. They're really good mechanics. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But for that, man, I learned a lot about copper, as far as more, fine tuning stuff, and like the spherical end caps. Got a lot of tips on how to make those, which wasn't an easy process. You know what I mean? The spherical end.
So how many people work in your plant in Kalamazoo?
I had 50 at once. I'm down to about 39, 40 right now.
Mm-hmm. And I hope I don't come across the wrong way, but I mean, do you hire Mexicans to come do this work because they're specialized, or no?
Well, I mean, my wife, my dad used to call her Speedy Gonzalez. She's the fast press runner there. But I can't hire anybody that's illegal. So a lot of these guys are illegal, and I will not hire illegal.
Mm.
I got pretty much just guys from around this area. The biggest thing for me is I have got to pump out a lot of work, because the processes I do, once they've been learned, they're not easy to learn. And it's very difficult, Bren, trying to retrain somebody, right? So I pay a pretty good wage and try to keep my price down. The fact that things are made here, you know what I mean? The only thing from keeping up with my orders is actually metal right now, as you know. It's a pain in the ass trying to get metal.
Yeah.
But making everything is nice. The only thing I don't make, I make everything. I make gutter machines. I make radius gutter. We got 24, and I make the dies. But the only thing I don't make is those funnel outlets, those European funnel outlets.
Right. Yeah.
Or I should say two things. The elbows that have no crimps in them, I buy those.
Oh,
But pretty much
smooth outlets or smooth elbows.
smooth elbow.
Yeah. And that's what I like. I like the smooth elbows. Is that why don't you do that? Because of the call for it, or because it's a hard thing to do?
No, I could do it, but for what they make them for, and I've got enough irons in the fire. I don't need another. I got 24 presses, and I've got dies breaking every day. We run the Haas CNCs for the machines. So we got a couple lathes, a couple mills.
Mm-hmm.
Could not imagine like trying to make all the end caps and miters and outlets and stand brackets and
You'd have to double your inventory, basically, wouldn't you?
Well, it's the problem is if a die breaks, I got to fix it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And machine shop, or if I didn't make the dies, they would, first of all, they wouldn't probably know how to do it that well. And secondly, they'd say, well, 2 months. I can't have that. And in fact, I'm working on doubling all my dies. So if one breaks down, I can have the other one getting fixed. Well, I can put the other one in the press so I don't got people waiting. You know what I mean? For
Yeah.
parts.
So do you make your own dies, or is that something that someone else has to do?
Make her own. Because of making machines, I just learned how to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that in the outlet difficult. You know what I mean?
Mm. Well, I can't wait to come down and see your facility. That's for sure.
Yeah, you'll like it. I mean, it's just I got good guys working for me, and I'm getting better because I was real intense and a little overbearing sometimes on people, and I just learned to, like a life lesson, just slow down and respect people and don't be such an idiot. I could be, short and kind of an idiot, right? So trying to learn.
I wasn't going to call you an idiot, but I know the first time we talked compared to when we left each other at Gutter-Con, I actually got a hug from you.
I like hug everybody. I'm full of love, man. And then you probably called when I got dies broken and people calling me. I'm in a conversation and somebody comes in my office and if I got a rule now in the shop, if I'm on the phone, don't stand there and stare at me. Just leave me alone for a while. Let me finish what I'm doing because I can't focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, just like you do probably, when you're trying to deal with something, you want to focus on that issue.
Yeah.
I don't want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff going on, but I try to make, so like we're struggling with our 5-inch outlet right now. We had it break and that's something I'm not going to make two of because I make a 3, 4, and a 5-inch downspout in round, corrugated and plain. And I made the round pipe to match the 4.7. It's actually not 5, 0.735 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wanted to be able to sell those smooth elbows when I sold the copper job, because you're right, people like those, right?
Yeah.
So my pipe that I make matches that size of that elbow. And what's nice is I get a lot of times people have a big job. I did a job at Disney one time, 6 miles of gutters and downs. And I remember I was talking, I had, like you, the background of working with architects and understanding how they think, and architects don't like to be told anything. And so I understand that. And they said they were speccing an 040 downspout, a 4-inch 40 thousandths downspout. And that's just extremely heavy, right?
Yeah.
And I'm too. And I didn't want to go in the imagineering department. I said, well, let me take a piece of pipe and send you a piece of pipe, for example, and see what you think. So I sent him like a 4 or 5 footer. So it was long enough and it was 032. And when he got it, I mean, you whack somebody in the head with that, it hurt.
Oh yeah, it's a big difference. Yeah.
So so that's perfect. I didn't even tell him it was not 040. Okay. I said, improve a sample. And so for all the gutter guys listening, sometimes don't get into the weeds in regards to specs. Send him a sample. You know what I mean? If you know it's good. And so, but then he wanted 32 footers. So I made, and he goes, he wanted, it was a lot of gutter and downspout. I said, might as well buy a couple trailers here and then I can rack them. They got those logistics bars that go across it. And so he got 2 trailers, he bought them. He parked them on the job site. It was a Saratoga Springs thing for Disney. And they parked it with he just went nuts because I had everything set up for him, right? The only problem is I went down and they were installing it because they got me free tickets to Disney. I took the kids down there. And he didn't know what he was doing. And it just made, you know what I mean? Because I would have to use adjectives. What do you think? And I said, interesting. It drove me nuts. Yeah, there was a band around the building and it was maybe out, I don't know, 6 inches with that drive it stucco. And he ordered regular elbows. And so we put 4 elbows together to go around the band with that part over the band. And it looked just horrible and it hurt my feelings because I thought, oh my God, I could have bent you something right around that perfect. You know what I mean? I already made you 30 pipe. Oh, it was an 8-inch gutter job. I made special castings for him that were designed by the Imagineering department. I mean, I was turning over these brackets because I have my own pattern shop and they would this and I said, on a Mickey Mouse bracket, I don't care what it is. You know what I mean? I can make it. And it got funny because I made one, I want to change this. And finally I said, okay, I've had enough of making these prototypes for you. Send me a drawing and I'm going to make that drawing. And the next prototype is going to cost you. Because I was doing this stuff to,
Yeah, earn their business.
But that job, I mean, the moral of the story for that job was he ended up selling those trailers for more than he paid for them. And he had a built-in warehouse right there. And I've done that in a couple different occasions, right? If it's a big enough. Now it's getting to the point where I'm going to get those 8-inch machines out there. In the future, I could say, every time you need it, I'm going to come out and make you some gutter. And then I can make it in the lengths you want. I stacked 40, 30s, 26s or whatever. He had 4 or 5 lengths he needed. You know what I mean? With a lot of it there. But
so you said you're going to make an 8-inch machine, but you're not going to sell it. You're going to run a chop and drop.
I'm going to drop. I'm going to probably put, I'm going to cover everything from, if you do a line north of Dallas, Texas, all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, I'm going to have a machine within 3 hours of any location.
Like you are, you're going to have a guy like me with one.
No, I'm going to own the machine because look, I don't know what for now. And if they start screwing up that coil and making junk, I can't have that. And it's hard enough selling 6-inch machines, Brenda, people. You got all points of the spectrum, guys. And, I am a stickler for having it organized and clean. All right. And I look at some of these trucks and I just shake my head. You know what I mean? What are you doing? You know what I mean? So there is no way in hell they're going to be able to make 8 inches are very, very difficult. I mean, they can be like, sometimes I think, why am I doing this? And again, the deeper it is, the harder it is to make. And if it starts making junk, I don't want anybody else responsible for that besides me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But 6-inch machines, I've made a lot of them now. And I've really got those down, but they run 220 single phase. I don't run 110 because you can't run it right. Okay. You got longer machine. It's like 14 feet long with the guillotine and running 20 ounce. You're not going to run lead coated with a 16 out with a run 110 probably.
Yeah. So lead coat comes in the coil. It doesn't come after you run the gutters.
No, if you want lead coated copper, you would call Lamb and Ritchie. They're in Sargus, Massachusetts. Okay. And they all coil and they'll run it through their bath. And you can. Okay. So if you want a lead coated, and you tell people that I don't want nothing. I don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do that too. I tell people. They would say, "Why'd you tell me that?" And I said, "Because you need to know that." I do this. I do half round gutters, round downspout castings, radius gutter, all spherical end caps, all these different things. That's what I focus on. A lot of people ask me, how do I make radius gutter? I first start out with $500,000 in investment and hope to God you know what you're doing, because I did that and I was, forgive my French, I was shitting my pants thinking I'm in deep trouble here. And it was only because I make all guys and machines that I was to make fixturing to help me.
Right.
I work with, because that is not an attack, okay? I mean, frowns or smiles, if you have, it's not perfectly flat, it looks like hell. People reject it. It's got to be flat, straight, and follow that radius.
Yeah.
Making those.
Yeah, I've done a couple jobs with the eyebrows, and I didn't even know you could do a radius gutter like that. So I'm anxious to do the next house and do that, get you to do it for me.
More difficult because now you're radiusing it from the bottom down, right?
Yeah. Can you do that in half round and K style, or just half round?
Half round, K style. They call it a brownstone look. A lot of different profiles. We did the job in Tennessee is a box gutter.
Yeah.
It's a gutter. That's 1,200 feet of radius. A lot of radius. So
Nice.
yeah, I can radius anything, but it's all, people say that's too much. And I said, you don't got that much money and material. And I said, no, I don't, but I got a hell of a lot more in fixturing. They don't get it. Okay. I don't care if they don't. Look, make it in 9-inch pieces, and particularly in aluminum, Frankie. I was in Florida with my kids this winter, and I'm walking down the sidewalk having a brew, and me and my wife are getting along good, so I'm happy, right? The kids are running around going nuts, fun. And I said, "Oh, look at that gutter there," and they go, "Oh, not gutters, Dad." And I said, "Look at that thing." It was a radius gutter that was. I'll text you. I think I texted you a picture, didn't I? I'll text you after the
Okay.
phone, but it was a radius. They had 3 radiuses on it, and they were cut in probably 10-inch pieces. And you could tell every one of them was leaking. But you imagine an aluminum 6-inch cable job cut in 10-inch pieces, particularly if you're looking toward the seam. It just looks like horrible.
Awful.
But it's full of caulk. I mean, it's literally got a bead of caulk, and so it's just horrible. Okay, and it looked like. So I tell people, why would you even put your name on that? Okay. And then people bitching. And I'm telling you, every 2 weeks or more, I get a call from a guy. I just got the radius, put it up. They send me pictures. They're going nuts. You know what I mean? The homeowner was, how'd you do that? You know what I mean? It's funny because I get calls from other people. Who was it? The guy that has that magazine. What's that guy's name? Gutters Direct.
Gutter Enterprise?
Enterprise, yeah. He's a nice guy. He's
Ryan?
that smart. I like him.
Yeah.
He's really saying he was at this, I forget what, he was at this place and he goes, "Man, look at that radius. How'd you do that?" He goes, "I can't tell you." And he goes, and he goes, "There's another guy that does radius." And I go, "No, he buys from me." And he goes, "He wouldn't tell me where he got him from."
It's funny. I was talking to someone, and he gave me the impression, I'm not going to say who it was, but really gave me the impression that he made them. And you and I were chatting. You were like, "Yeah, those are mine."
Get it. I mean, I understand what they're doing. I don't hold that again. But it's funny because when I'm trying to, like, Senux just sends people to me because before they would want to get in the middle of the equation, I just called them and I said, it is so hard and there is so much hand holding to get this right, and dealing with that customer. I said, if you wouldn't mind, just please give the customer to me. I don't take anybody's customers. But if they want a radius gutter, if I can deal right with the person that's putting up, I can solve and make it a lot easier for me, because it's already hard enough. But then when you go through a third party, very difficult. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's got to be perfect. And if it doesn't, they put them up there and they just boom, suction fit right on there. They like that. But, for instance, we use the cast fascia bracket, and the cast fascia bracket, this is an open curl bracket in brass.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll show you. This is a piece of a gutter in the bracket. So there's just a cradle for the outside, but then back slots remain above the top of the gutter, so you can fasten the bracket into the gutter, and these 2 slots remain exposed. So all that work can be picked up and put into place. Okay.
Yeah.
Holds the gutter away from the fascia about 3/8 to 1/2 an inch. That's got to be factored in when you're making your fixture, if you're using a bracket. Okay.
Right.
because you're going away a little bit and it's got to fit. Those are the things I need to be able to know what bracket they're using, what's going on. And
Well,
sometimes
when you're doing a radius, of course, because that changes the radius.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people are saying, you know, initially they're defensive. And I said, look, I'm not trying to tell you to do your stuff. I'm just saying, I don't take anybody's credit. I don't do that stuff, but I'm just saying it's a lot easier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm dealing with that all the time. And I remember one time we made a big radius job and the guy called me from New York and he was rough. You know what I mean? It's a 120-inch radius and I won't use the hyperbole, but he was getting, I go, I need a template. He goes, I want an F template. I just make it. It's 120 inches. I said, so I made it. And I said, okay, I'm going to make it, but it's your thing. Somebody goes, this damn thing don't fit. And his name was Frank. And I said,
It wasn't Frank Hennigan, was it?
no,
Okay. Frank, if you're watching, sorry.
no. But he said, and, you know, I was frustrated because I tried to tell him that, and I'm getting better at that as I get older. I said, you know, you need to just, these have got to be right. You can't play games. I can get on it pretty quick. I can get them out in usually 2 weeks. Okay. That's not bad. And I got to get the template out and you got to get the template back. And I said, I did that because when you go up there, you're spending a lot of money and you want to look good and you don't certainly want to be screwing around with it. But I said, I told you those radiuses are never consistent. They never are. I mean, you never say never, but, and so, because I was ready to say, you're an idiot, you know what I mean? But you're not listening. And I just said to I just told him, he goes, well, I spent all this money. Now these things don't fit. I said, listen, I'll take care of you and help you out through the job. I'm going to send you a template, make the template. And I took care of them and whatnot. And instead of getting pissed, just dealt with it, right? And now he buys a lot of radius from me, but he makes a template every time. You know what I mean?
He knows what not to do.
Well, it's for his own sake. Even a builder guy, make the template. Then you know, the installer, exactly. You might have two templates, template A that fit, and template B, when it comes on one side, it's got to be different. And I'll put template A, two of template B. You know exactly how it goes together, and it makes it easy. You know what I mean?
You know what we should do when I come down to your shop, maybe we can do a quick video on how to do that properly.
The template, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'll fold out a template package.
Yeah.
If you put the template right underneath the soffit and then scribe the fascia line, right?
Yeah.
Pretty easy, and you don't have to cut it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cut. If you've got not a lot of overhang where I mean, that tight radius I showed you, you've got it. That's why I make it so you can fold up if it gets shipped that way, but you can also untape them, put them on there, cut it, and then fixture it. You know what I mean? So you know if it's cut out, you've got it fitting properly. And I more than anything, just please making this radius, because this is the key to everything right here. The gutter will be, trust me, it'll be made right to your template. But if your template is right, it's going to be a bad day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I pick up all my radius gutters off of their templates. You know what I mean? So there's template, there's template A, there's the gutter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, that was to cover my ass, so to speak, but I'm trying to develop relations. I don't want to get used to working this and doing other things. And then I can parlay into tri-cast bracket. You know what I mean? The guy in St. Louis, he would always put up stamp fascia brackets. They're nice, but I go, because there's a third hole in the fascia bracket. I'm gonna see if I can get one of those up here. And technically that should be put in because it's part of the design, okay? Underneath and beyond the gutter. So technically you've got to screw those brackets on, the stamp fascia brackets on the fascia in snow climates.
Yeah.
Put the gutter in. It saves so much time. The gutter can be put up and everything can be done on the ground. You're not in scaffolding or not, you lift it up and screw it in place, right?
Right.
So I love going out to people and not putting gutters up. I can smoke them, you know. But, and I got to be to how everybody does their job differently, you know what I mean? So I'll throw my 2 cents in, let them do what they want, because I can't control that. But the guy in St. Louis, that's all he does, just castings now, you know, because it's so much faster. And he'll just show the, here's a casting, here's a stamp. Oh, here's an 8-inch bracket. That's an 8-inch. And you can see that third hole in the back.
Yep.
That's below the gutter. The 6-inch just looks like this. It's just smaller, but those are a hell of a bracket because they're 063 aluminum, and they're the heaviest out there by far, the ones that make. And these are 050 in copper. And so I sell a lot of these down south. But I tell people, show the people this, show them the casting, and let them choose. Don't even make.
Like,
You know what I mean?
do you make the bar bracket too?
Is
I
right.
like the bar bracket. I like that. It's classic.
I just made a die with a 15/16 tab, so it's wider.
Let me see that.
This is the chromated bracket on a black gutter, but
Oh,
they're
nice.
wide enough. They're the widest ones out there. No one really makes them in aluminum, okay?
Yeah.
So they're really nice. They're easy, but they take a lot of work, those tabs. You know, they got to rivet the tab on. But
Yeah.
I leave the holes above the gutter so they can all be installed in the ground, picked up and screwed into place, right?
Nice.
And that's a profile of my half-round gutter. I should got the Alcoa hook on the back.
Yeah.
Not sure if you do.
Just come a little closer to the camera, maybe. Move towards you a little bit. It's hard to see. But I
don't know.
think I get it. I can see how it folds over.
Yeah, so, but I had tabs before, Bren, dates. And to me, they were a little light. I wanted to be able to fold that tab over and knew that it wasn't going to. So I just made a die set with 15/16 tabs. They're just perfect because they fold under there. You got to have a little force to get them in there, but when they're in there, they're not going out of there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a nice bracket. These and this is 1.25 inch, widest one out there. I make 1.5 inch, so people got to snow load because the wider it is, the stronger it is.
Right.
So most of them are 1.25 inch in aluminum. Make them in steel also. I don't know if you've ever dealt with out west, Montana, Colorado area. They do a lot of rusty steel, cold rolled steel. So they will make the gutter. I'll ship them downspout. I'll make all the stampings in cold rolled steel, and I'll make these in steel because a lot of metal roofs out there, and the
Yep.
snow gets off. They got snow fencing, but I'll make those in 1.5 inch in steel, 3/16.
Mhm.
So I do stuff too because no one else does that. Yeah, I can do it because I make all the dies, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
So they like that.
Yeah. Well, listen, you didn't think we could kill an hour today, but we killed over an hour already.
Amazing.
Yeah, I told you it wouldn't take long.
Hey, Brandon, what can I say?
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, I like to try to keep them to an hour, so it's been awesome. It was awesome to meet you, and I really appreciate you coming down last month at Gutter-Con. It was really special to me that you came down, made the trip, and I think you got a lot out of it too. It went pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I liked it. You know, one thing about MetalCon for me that was different, or I'm sorry, MetalCon, Gutter-Con, with me that was different was when they were doing those things, it dawned on me that I'm dealing with the gutter companies. Most of the people dealing with the end user, right?
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of nice days, including yourself. But it helped me focus on my target is the gutter companies, not the end user for the gutters. You know,
Yeah.
they were talking jobs, all this. And so that was, yeah, it was good. And it was fun for me. We didn't go to that Red Rock thing with you. We went there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was a great time. So listen, I'm going to take you up. We're gonna do a factory tour at Classic Gutters for sure. And I guess you're probably not going to show everyone how you do the radius gutter, are you? Well, we'll see everything else though.
Well, you'll see casting brass.
Yeah.
All the dies, stamping parts, the gutter machines, all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're going to do that. I almost think that I might be in Michigan within sometime this month, but I'll definitely let you know before I come. I won't just show up unannounced for sure.
Place for you to stay.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks again for doing this with me today. I know everyone's probably going to really appreciate what we chatted about today, and we'll be talking again. So thanks a lot.
Thank you. Have a nice one. Talk to you later.
Thanks.